Okay, I've got another video coming up for you here, which I hope you will enjoy. We're going to be taking a bit of a look at my most recent purchase, one that's sort of given me a bit of an excitement about getting into this product. And you know, as it turns out, I was, you know, you've probably worked out, I'm pretty keen to get some yellow paint on this thing underneath, at least to just see it starting to come together and look like something. But I was standing back the other day and I thought, oh well, I really need to work out where I've got to position the hole through the gearbox tunnel for the gear lever, because I'm using the Mazda 6-speed gearbox, which is a fairly big gearbox, and the gear stick, I'm pretty sure, will be sitting back further than what it would have in the original. Also, with the Duratec engine, it looks like the engine mounts are designed that you actually weld them onto the chassis rail. So you know, any of that stuff I really need to get done before I start applying paint. Now, I cut the engine mounts out of the original gearbox tunnel, and I would like to be able to use those if I can and seat them in there and make up a good bracket for the back of the gearbox to mount to those. I know a lot of guys I've seen where they actually have plates welded in along here that they mount their Mazda gearboxes to. Now I just cut in here and put these couple of photos up that show the gearbox mounting position that I was talking about. Now, I'm not over keen on what I see here with these blocks between the actual bracket and the floor, and I can only presume that there's some reinforcing or something on the other side of the floor to hold all that. But you'll see in the next photo that I put up here, I think this is a much better looking mount, and it comes with a good price attached to it, but I'm sure I can make my own. And it looks to me like it's going to be adjustable to be able to move the mount up and down. Also, with the one that we see in the photo, there's no rubber, doesn't appear to be any rubber mounting at all between the gearbox and the mount, whereas this other one allows for a rubber mount. And yeah, just the fact that it can be adjusted up and down, I think, is a good thing. So, you know, hopefully I can utilise these, but if not, well, that's okay. Now, the other thing that needs to happen when mounting the Duratec engine and this Mazda gearbox, when the gearbox sits in, you've got to have everything positioned right. All the engine mounts and stuff that are available that you buy, they're designed so as to sit the motor down as low in the car and as back close to the firewall as you can, to sort of keep that centre of gravity sort of back. You know, I look at them and some of them, they're just so close to the firewall. So, you know, I don't know, I've just got to design it so it's going to sit right, and there's going to be room, you know, to get to the heater hoses and things like that that come out of the firewall behind the engine. And also got to have the angles right, because you want the angle of the gearbox and the engine, well, particularly the gearbox angle, to sort of match the snout that comes out of the front of the differential, so that they're on the same angle. So anyway, there are things that have got to be done. But anyway, let's just get into this video now. And as I've always said, you know, feel free to comment, you know, tell me your experience if you've done any of this stuff. As you can see, I've actually now got myself the engine and the gearbox, Mazda 6-speed gearbox. So here's a bit of a closer look at the actual gearbox. It's a Mazda gearbox, I believe it's a 6-speed gearbox. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't really know what I'm looking at. I'm going to have to investigate and see, I don't know if it's an RX-7 box or whether it might be out of a Mazda MX-5. I think the MX-5 have a much better gear ratio. When I was looking at the RX-7 boxes, the ratios, I think they're really low first gear. So I'm probably going to have to sort that out so I know before I build my diff to get the ratios for the diff that are going to suit the car. 2 litre Duratec. I was actually planning on using a 2.5 Duratec, and my thoughts were that a 2.5 would be a more torquey engine and probably not, a nicer road car. But this came up on Facebook Marketplace the other day. I happened to be right on the spot when it came up, and it was basically a deal that I felt was too good to let it pass up. It was very cheap, and it came, as I say, the gearbox and the engine. The engine has an alloy sump. It looks to me like it's quite possibly a home, someone's made it themselves, I would say, but no sign of any leaks anywhere. So it's a suitable for rear wheel drive for the Escort, and that should be good. Now, what I did find, I've removed the flywheel and the clutch and pressure plate off the back of the engine to get it on the engine stand here. On the back of the flywheel, it actually has the words Pro Race written on it. So I don't know whether that means it is actually a particular breed of flywheel that's been lightweight. I've had a look at some of the lightweight ones online, and they're very thin. So I don't know, but also the clutch that was in it is an Extreme clutch, X-Clutch Extreme. So I don't know, unfortunately the guy that I bought the motor off didn't really know the history of the motor. There was, and often when you buy an engine, it's a bit of a risk. You're buying the unknown. But I thought at the price, look, if I've got to rebuild the engine, that's fine. I was planning on probably rebuilding the engine anyway. My debate is whether I'm going to actually strip it and do it myself, or whether I'm going to get an engine shop to do it. Been quite a long time, probably 30 years since I pulled the motor and put it back apart and put it back together, but not that that's any issue. You're always, well, I don't know, I assume you're always going to get a more professional job if you use people that are doing it for a living every day, so just a matter of whether you want to spend the money or not. And anyway, so the other thing is, I do want this to be a reliable motor vehicle. And look, the other thing I've been told is that, as I say, when I bought this 2 litre rather than the 2.5, I was told that the 2 litres actually are a nicer car to drive. They actually seem to have better down low, and the 2.5s you need to rev, which is sort of the opposite of what I thought. But perhaps it's just the design of the stroke and the bore and what have you. So looking online at the standard specs for a 2 litre and a 2.5, the torque is considerably higher on the 2.5, but the horsepower, I think there's like about 10 horsepower different. So the other thing, I'll just turn it around this way. I also bought a set of the Simpsons tune to length, these big extractors, so they will mount on there quite nicely. That's exactly what I was planning on going with. But I've also been provided with engine mounts that came with it. As I say, it was a really good deal, because these are all things that I was thinking I was going to have to actually go and buy. So that engine mount sits there, and then obviously this one sits on the other side. Now I just got to work out what the go is, whether I've got to manufacture some how these are going to mount, because it looks to me like they're not going to mount to the actual original mountings on the Ford Escort, and maybe these are designed to have a bracket welded. I'll just actually get the cross member that I prepared earlier. So this is the actual genuine cross member that would normally, let me just push that way a bit, normally sits up like so. I'm just not sure exactly where on this, maybe back here somewhere. But yeah, they don't look to me like they're going to line up, so anyway, that's something that I can sort out. I've just got to do a bit more investigation. Now, the other thing with these, when you're putting a front wheel drive engine into a rear wheel drive car, you've got where the water radiator hoses and whatnot come. Now, this is the big header radiator that I bought quite some time ago. It's a Duratec. So you see on this side it's got the pipe for the lower radiator hose. The upper radiator hose is on the opposite side at the top. Now that goes like so, which is fine. I've got the hose that will go from here to that one on the bottom there, but I've got the issue. This has come with the water housing that runs across the back onto this side, and it looks to me like it runs along here underneath the throttle body injection that's going to be on this side, but I need it to go the other side. So I'm probably not going to be able to use that one. I'll just spin that around. Try and do it without going in there. Yeah, so as I say, I've been doing a lot of looking online at these Duratecs and people fitting Duratecs, and I'm sure there is one that actually bolts on, comes over here, and I've probably got a picture of it that I will post up right here. But the extractors sit like so, and there's one that comes across and up and runs across the top of the extractors to that top radiator hose. Apparently the Ford Rangers, one of the model Ford Rangers has a Duratec engine in it, and I think that Ford actually, you can buy a genuine part that mounts onto there and goes across the top. So again, that's just something I've got to investigate, and probably many other things. Anyway, so yeah, as I say, the state of the internals of the engine is a bit of an unknown. I did spin it over before. It seems to turn over quite nicely, and I suppose, you know, I could do a compression test and have a look at the spark plugs and that come out and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I think I will strip it. And you know, I've been in a toss-up about what I'm going to do with the engine build. As I say, it's going to be a street car. I want it to be reliable. I want it, you know, it'll make good power. No matter what, you know, with the throttle body injections and the big exhaust and what have you. But you know, do I put a set of high compression pistons and a pair of camshafts in it, give it a bit of a lift? You know, I know there's people getting, you know, around 200 and more horsepower out of them, but again, it's just, you know, I want it to be nice to drive, and yeah, we'll just have to work that out as we go. I'm going to pull the top off here in a minute and just have a bit of a look now. I'm wondering, because it's got that extreme clutch and the pro race markings on the flywheel, I mean, is it possible that thing has big camshafts in it anyway? Unfortunately, it's been so long since I was in the motor trade, I really don't know what the profile of the lobes looks like. But you know, I might just have a bit of a look, see if there's any numbers on them, see if there's anything that comes up that's a little bit exciting about that. And so anyway, that's where we're at. So we're getting there, one piece at a time. I just quickly pulled the tappet cover off because the valve cover, it was only held on by 3 bolts. I actually think that it probably had a fancy aluminium valve cover on there that probably the people that had the car quickly ratted that away, took it off. Looking at the camshafts, to me they don't look anything fancy, the lobes, but as I say, I haven't looked at any of this type of engine design before, and I've got this lined up. Apparently as I've done a lot of reading up on this, you've got a couple of indents in the back of the camshafts, and there's a special tool you buy that you put in there, and when they're lined up, your timing's all lined up right, and there's a bolt that you put in down through the bottom of the thing there that's got a point that it rests on. So anyway, yeah, so that's that. Now I'm not sure how well it will show up on there, but just on this sill there's a little bit of a dent right there, and if that's a dent inwards, and up the front here there's a dent where it's pushed outwards. So this one where it's pushed outwards, can't really get in behind that at all, but I think I'm just going to give it a tap from the outside gently. And this one back here, I've got this bit of a rod here where I've just put a nice rounded end on that, so hopefully it won't do too much damage. And now you're probably going to be on the wrong side of me to see what I'm doing. Like I said, you think you've got a great big shed, but you always need more room. So there's a bit of a hole in behind this one. I think that I've actually improved it slightly, but I'm just a bit wary as to whether I'm getting it exactly on the right spot. Better with something a little bit shorter and giving it a tap with the hammer, but this one here, I think that's going quite nicely. I have heard it said that the metal has a memory and will often pop back into place. Actually, that's pretty good. Maybe just a very slight touch low now, so I'll see what I can do with that. But that's pretty good. Okay, well I went and found myself actually a punch that I put through there and just gave it a tap with a hammer, and that is actually looking just about perfect. It's pretty much good enough for me. I think a very light skim of body filler and that'll be fine. Just a shame, this one I just went a little bit, just a tiny bit far, but I should be able to pull that back. But anyway, we'll go back and have a look at the bit at the back under the body that I've been working on. That old adage again. You just try and make things look a little bit better and you ruin it. Had it looking really good. Just try to get looking a little bit better. I'll leave that. That's okay, well, I must say this is a much nicer part of the job than all the cutting and grinding. Just nice seeing things coming together at long last. That's pretty good. Pretty good. So I might leave it there for tonight. Okay, well. That has come up pretty good. It's nicely feathered in. I think that's good enough for me because it's only underneath the car. I'd probably spend a bit more time if it was on the panel work, but not bad for an amateur, I'm thinking. It's got a beautiful bit of nice rounded shape back into it there. I might need just a touch of more sanding down underneath. Well, we'll bring this video to a close now, and I really appreciate your viewing, and I hope you will like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm working on getting some more together, try and get some stuff uploaded and keep them rolling, but life is busy, and I'm just looking at all the weeds that are growing and getting away in my yard. Fortunately, the cooler weather's coming and they all slow up, but I've really got to get out there and do some weed spraying. I've also got a lot of mould growing on the back end of my shed that I've got to get out and blast. My mower needs an oil change. There's just always something to do. Got to put a set of spark plugs in my Falcon. I bought some about 3 months ago and haven't got around to fitting them, and it's starting to run a bit rough and miss early in the morning, so I need to get onto that. So anyway, we'll keep into it, and as I said, like and subscribe, and leave me any comments, suggestions, greatly appreciated, and we'll see you in the next video.